Good morning. I'm live here at LGA. I found myself a quiet spot, but it is Tuesday, and so wherever I am on a Tuesday morning, that's where I'll reach out to you. And this week it happens to be at Laguardia Airport. I was in New York for a lecture for the Muncie community, beautiful, beautiful, warm Jewish community. And I came to speak about a very important day that's coming up on the Jewish calendar tomorrow night. If you know what's the Hebrew date for tomorrow night, please put it into the comments. For Chabad, it's massive. And because for Chabad it's massive, every single one of you who's watching should know this date because it has affected you and your family and probably the entire Jewish world, if not even the Jewish world. Does anybody know what that date is? I'll give you 2 minutes. What is that date? Hi, good morning, Helga. Good morning, Joanne. Anybody know what that date is that's coming up tomorrow night? It's a Jewish date, and it's a date that transformed literally the entire Jewish world. I'll give you a few more seconds. Arlene, hey, good morning. Sitting here in LaGuardia Airport, just about to bring you a class on Tanya, and I want you to tell me what is the significance of tomorrow night's Hebrew date. If you know it, please let me know. Good morning, Esty Cohen. Good morning, Arlene. Good morning, Lauren. So I'll give it away. Becky, you know, what is the significance of tomorrow night? What is the special date in the Hebrew calendar? Anybody know? Hi, Tova. Good morning. For those of you who just joined, I'm in LaGuardia Airport, and thank you, Becky. So tomorrow night is Yud Shvat. Now, anybody know what happened on Yud Shvat? 52 years ago. What happened on Yud Shvat? Sunrise and sunset. I love that, Becky. So I'm going to explain to you. And has anybody heard of Yud Shvat? Has anybody heard of Yud Shvat? No? It's the 10th of Shvat, but has anybody heard of the significance on the Jewish calendar for Yud Shvat? So Becky mentioned something very beautiful. She said sunrise, sunset. Well, doesn't sunrise, sunset happen every day? Why significantly more on Yud Shvat? So let me elaborate. In 1950, the previous Chabad Rebbe passed away. That's right, Chava. The previous, good morning, Sophie, good morning. The previous Rebbe passed away on the 10th of Shvat. For one entire year, the Chabad movement was struggling. Who's going to be our next Rebbe? And they kept approaching our Rebbe, the 7th Lubavitch Rebbe, and saying to him, you have to take over. Chabad needs a leader. But the Rebbe was very humble, very reserved, and he wouldn't hear of it. Till a group of 10 Chassidim, one of which was my Zayda Ben Zion, many of you know, signed a letter and approached the Rebbe begging him, please accept the mantlehood of Chabad. And exactly 1 year later, on the 10th of Shvat, when we should have been celebrating the yahrzeit of the previous Rebbe, which is what they did, but the Rebbe came out and made a farbrengen, a gathering, and he said the famous Hasidic discourse that took over the teachings of his previous Rebbe. And at that moment, he accepted the mantlehood. And what I love about what Becky said, sunrise, sunset, when the Rebbe took upon himself to be the Rebbe. By the way, has anybody heard of this before? Give me an emoji if you've ever heard about Yud Shvat and that this is the day that our Rebbe formally accepted upon himself to be the Rebbe. Okay, so I see a couple of you know what I'm talking about. When the Rebbe took upon himself the mantlehood, the nesius, as we call it in Hebrew, he made it very clear. I'm not going to be becoming a Rebbe and telling you guys what to do, and you can have a smooth ride because, hey, we got a Rebbe and he's taking care of everything. No, absolutely not. I am going to be a Rebbe. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to inspire you. But you are going to do all the work. And anybody who's been following and joining Chabad, you'll know that the Rebbe gave us a lot of work. In fact, I remember as a teenager when I would go into a Farbrengen, and literally every time we came out, the Rebbe had another job for us, another mitzvah. You have to go out and do Shabbos candles. You have to go teach people about a Sefer Torah. You have to start teaching people about Kashrut. You have to get mikvahs building. We never were able to rest even for a minute. And that was what the Rebbe wanted us to do. He ensured that we were going to be the generation that will bring Mashiach. How? Through hard work. And for the next 52 years, even when the Rebbe is not here physically, there have been thousands and thousands of shluchim going out to different countries to spread the message of Torah and Yiddishkeit. I mean, it's very nice being religious and being Jewish in your house and just taking care of yourself and your family, but that was not what the Rebbe's mandate is, and it's not what your mandate should be. It's like they tell the story of the tzaddik and pelts. Has anybody ever heard this analogy, a tzaddik and pelts? You know, if the room is cold, there are two ways you can warm yourself up. Right? What are those two ways? You can either put on your fur coat and you've warmed yourself up, or you make sure that there's fire and wood in the fireplace, and then you warm up yourself and the entire room. That was the Rebbe's message. We're not a tzaddik in pelts. We're not a tzaddik sitting in a fur coat, just, locking ourselves up in a religious community and making sure that we have the kosher food and we have the synagogues and we have the mikvahs that we need. And as long as I'm warm, I'm good. That was not the Rebbe's mandate. And he set this out on Yud Shvat. Tomorrow night, that's the date. And we celebrate that date because that's the date that there was so much new light brought into the world. Responsibility, but light. And preparing the world for Mashiach. Because you can't prepare the world if you're just wearing a fur coat, sitting in your own little mansion or your own little house and taking care of yourself and your family. We know that Mashiach is going to come. We know Mashiach is going to come when the whole world is illuminated with godliness. How does that happen if you just take care of yourself? I heard such a beautiful analogy. I'm going to throw it out to all of you that are watching. And I want you to each answer honestly, okay? What would you consider yourself to be? A thermometer or a thermostat? I'll say it again. What do you think is the crucial responsibility of a Jew? To be a thermostat or to be a thermometer? Anybody know? Because they seem to be, similar. Thermostat, thermometer, right? It's all about gauging the weather. But what are we? Who are we? Who are you? I see we have a lot of thermostats watching today. Who are we? Am I a thermometer that walks into a room and I see what the weather is and that's just the way I am? I'm reflecting what the atmosphere is. If the atmosphere is cool, then I'm cold and then I just throw on my fur coat. Or, as everyone here is recommending, Rosalie and Joanne and Becky, right? All of you here, you're saying, no, we're thermostats. Because what's a thermostat? A thermostat is the trender. They set the temperature in the room. They don't put on the fur coat and take care of themselves. They control the heat. They control the temperature and they change the temperature. And that's why whenever I'm even in airports and I see a Chabad guy and I know that he's got tefillin in him, in any minute he's going to find a Jew and put on tefillin. Because you're changing the atmosphere wherever you go. So that's what Yud Shvat is. Yud Shvat is a day that we reflect and commit to taking upon ourselves the Rebbe's mission, the Rebbe's passion, and the Rebbe's mandate to bring Mashiach. So I'm going to give a little talk on Mashiach because Yud Shvat really, I'm going to teach you another word today. Yud Shvat is a day that Chassidim become mikusher, and we call it the ability to have hiskashrus. Anybody knows what that means? When I say, are you mikusher to the Rebbe? Right? Are you mikusher? Do you have hiskashrus? What does that mean to you? Anybody? Put it in the comments. Or if you know what it means, just give me an emoji so I'll know that you've all heard this word before. What does it mean to have hiskashrus to a Rebbe? Okay, Dorit is saying connection. Very good. Anything else? Close to him. Okay, good. So if the word's kosher, like not kosher, but to be kosher, connected. Very good. Connection. So you're all on the right track. Hiskashrus is about connection, but it's even more. To be connected to a Rebbe means to be bound, excellent, and to take on the Rebbe's goals and life. So if my Rebbe loves Yidden, I have to love Jews. Do they look like me? Doesn't matter. Do they act like me? Do they go to my same synagogue? Doesn't matter. If my Rebbe loves every Yid, Afa pi shechati Yisraelu, then I also love every Yid. If my Rebbe wants me to move to another community, even though it's not easy, but if I'm connected, I do what my Rebbe wants. I repeated the story last night, which was a very interesting story. There was a group of boys that went on Tahalucha, which means they went, it was on Yom Tov, it was on Shavuos, they went to another synagogue to spread, Yiddishkeit and the warmth and the joy of the holiday. So they get to this synagogue, it's somewhere in the lower Manhattan, and they see that the rabbi is like a chassid, but not a Chabad chassid, more like a Babav chassid or a Ger chassid. They were very surprised because it wasn't a religious community. So the Bachram went over to him and said, well, what brings you here? Like you expect to find like probably a Chabad shliach there, right? They said, what are you doing here? He says, I have to tell you the truth. My Rebbe called me in one day to his office and he said to me, there are a lot of Jews in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I want you to go to bring Judaism there. And I said to myself, really? But I'm not Chabad. But they said, no, we have to care for all Jews. I want you to go. So this man says, wait, but what are my kids going to do for school? So he says, your kids, I'll take a bus to Williamsburg every day. He goes, oh, okay, but what am I going to do for food? How am I going to get Chol of Yisrael and Pas Yisrael and all the good things? He says, you'll take a taxi once a week. You go shopping in Williamsburg. He goes, Oi, Rebbe, but what about my wife? Who's she going to be friends with? I'm here alone in the Lower East Side. Who's she going to be friends with? So the Rebbe, I'm not sure if he was a Babav or a Gary, he bangs his hands on the table. He goes, I don't understand. When the Lubavitch Rebbe tells his chassid to go to Timbuktu, to go to New Zealand, to go to Hong Kong, his chassidim say, when should I leave? They grab their packs and you're bothering me and you're questioning me? That's what that rabbi gave the message to the two Bachram that were there. The Rebbe's love, like Lauren's saying, the Rebbe says we have to bring warmth and inspiration to the community because that's what is going to bring Mashiach. So an analogy that I want to share with you about how we should bring Mashiach. What's the goal and how do we get to that goal? So there are two kinds of football players. If I'm not mistaken, is the Super Bowl coming up very soon? Guys, anybody know? I'm not really a football fan, but this story is going to really connect. Is the Super Bowl coming up in a few days? Anybody know? Which day? Is it this Sunday or next Sunday? All I know is that when there's a Super Bowl game, we don't do anything at Chabad because everyone's busy. So Tasma Rivka says, yes, the Super Bowl is coming up. Dorit, is it this week? This Sunday? Enlighten me, my friends. When is the Super Bowl? So, this is an analogy of how we can bring Mashiach. You have a football coach, and it's next Sunday. Okay. And he wants to bring his team to the Super Bowl. And he wants to win the Super Bowl. So there are two tactics. One football player gathers the guys, and he walks over to each one individually. He says, hey, listen, Joey, when the football comes to you over here, I want you to pick it up and throw it on that side. Now, David, you're on that side of the field. When the football comes to you, I want you to run and pass it over to Jamie. Then he runs over to Jamie and says, Jamie, when the football comes to you, I want you to tackle it and throw it right over the head of Michael. And he goes over to each guy individually, and he speaks to each one and says, this is how we're going to get to our goal. But one thing he didn't do, he didn't gather them as a group. He didn't have a global vision. He told each player what they have to do. When the ball comes to your spot, you pick it up and throw it there. And your ball comes to your spot, you go there. But then there's another football coach, a much wiser football coach. He gathers all the guys together in a huddle. And he says, guys, number one, we're going to get to the Super Bowl, right? And they all scream, yay, right? He's lifting their self-esteem. And he says, now listen, guys, this is a team play. Each one of us has got to do our thing. But you got to look out and watch what everyone else is doing. Pick up where the other one left off. Be intuitive to what needs to be done. Don't wait for me to shout it out, but get it going on your own. And you know what? That team makes it to the Super Bowl. This is the way we have to look at Yiddishkeit. Every mitzvah that we do is one more goal to get to Mashiach. When you light Shabbos candles, you have to have in mind, this is to get me to my goal, the Super Bowl, also known as Mashiach. When I give tzedakah this morning, I'm giving it to bring Mashiach. When I help my neighbor across the street with her baby, this is the goal for Mashiach. If I eat a kosher ice cream, but I make a bracha first, you say to yourself, this is to bring me to the goal of Mashiach. When we collectively each do our piece from wherever we are, wherever in the world we are, even Laguardia Airport, we have to realize we are part of one game and one mission. We're not just Jews living here and just living our life and doing mitzvahs so that when we die, we go up to Olam Haba and we get our rewards. No, no, emphatically no. This is how the Rebbe changed the paradigm. The Rebbe said, we're not just here to live a life of religiosity and doing good so that I get a space in the world to come. No, that is so selfish and so klein keppeldik. The job of every Yid is what the Rebbe told us on Yud Shvat 52 years ago. The Rebbe said, our job is to make it to the Super Bowl. How are we going to do it? Each one of us has to get out of our fur coat, warm up the room, lift up the thermostat, make sure that every one of us does our little part on the field. You know, a lot of people say to me, Goldie, really? If Mashiach didn't come in the days of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If Mashiach didn't come in the days of the Rashi, or Ramah, or the days of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai and the Maimonides, how is he going to come now? Look at our generation. A bunch of nobodies. Can't even compare ourselves to the giants in the past. How in the world is Mashiach going to come? But what we have to remember, my friends, and if you have any suggestions, please put it down in the comments. Oh, Dorit, you're reading my mind. We are sitting on the shoulder of giants. You know, one of my son-in-laws is six feet, about 3 inches. That's very tall for our family. Very tall for a lot of families, but especially for my family. And whenever my son-in-law comes to the house, I'm always asking him to get me things that I can't reach. And it's the joke. But there's sometimes that even Moshe can't reach what's on the top of the shelf. So he has to pick up his little boy, Levi. And Levi is maybe, 24 inches. He puts Levi on his shoulders and he says, Levi, bring down that box for Bubby. And Levi schleps the box and he gives it to his tati, who gives it to me. Now, who brought down the box? Was it Levi? Was it Moshe? Was it the 6-footer? Or was it little toddler? Who brought down the box? Obviously, it was a team effort. That's how we have to view ourselves right now. As Dorit said, we are sitting on the shoulders of giants. We are those little toddlers. And yes, in comparison to the heroes, the great heroes of the past, but we are living a continuum. Whatever they did in the past is not over. We are riding on their coattails. So we're like that little drop of wine that, pours over the Kiddush cup. You fill up the cup and you need to fill it over, right? The overflowing of blessing. And you add one more drop and suddenly the cup is overflowing. What made the cup overflow? Was it the previous filling up of the cup, or was it the little drop? It was all. We must do our part. And so as we prepare for Yud Shvat, we have to realize that we have a mission. The Rebbe left us with a very strong mission. I want you to bring Mashiach. In fact, if you think of the song, We Want Mashiach Now. I remember I was 16 years old when that song came out. And many non-Chabad communities said about this song, what a chutzpah! How dare you demand of Mashiach? Want? You say, please. And Chabad was knocked a lot. Knocked for being chutzpahdik and for being outrightly demanding Mashiach to come. But I think many of those people today are on the same board as us. They've already joined the club. But back then, what they didn't understand was this. If you open up the Siddur and you say the Amidah, anybody have any idea how many of those blessings in the Amidah are focusing on the coming of Mashiach? Anybody? So there are 19 blessings in the Amidah. And of those, more than 50% are asking Hashem for Mashiach. More than 50%. Besides for the mandate, the 13 principles of faith that we have to ask for Mashiach every day. But even in our daily prayers, that's all we talk about is Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. So that really is the mandate of the Jewish population. And we know that we are the generation of Mashiach. In fact, yesterday, when I arrived to New York, I went straight to the Ohel. It was also my birthday, so I wanted to be at the Ohel for my birthday. And as I walk in, there's a room. How many of you have been at the Ohel? You'll know that there's a room where there's a video. And the video, I always like to see what's playing, because I always feel like there's a message for me. And as I walk in, the Rebbe was saying these words. B'schos nashim tzedkanios nigalu avasenu mimitzrayim. That because of the righteous women, Mashiach will come. So my friends, that was yesterday's message to me. The Rebbe said it loud and clear as I walked in. We women, through motivating our families, through inspiring our communities to do one more mitzvah, to make sure that the football team all knows what our goal is. Bring it home. Bring the Mashiach concept home. Tell your children, we want Mashiach now. We're not content with just living Jewish lives near a kosher restaurant, traveling to Israel once a year. That doesn't cut it. That's not enough. It's not enough. We need to bring the Rebbe's goal, the Rebbe's fruition, the Rebbe's dream to reality. And very soon, I'm looking forward to meeting so many of you. Many of you, of course, I see on a regular basis, right? We have Sharon and Helga and Chava. Susan, I haven't seen you for a while. Sarah, Darit, Lila, Daryl, Shoshana, Becky, Arlene, Sarah. I want to wish you all a good Yontif. for Yud Shvat. Looking forward to welcoming the Geula, seeing Mashiach now. B'mher Imenu, Amen. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going to go catch my flight right now. Take care.